Hello and welcome back, everyone, for what could be a final game of this series. We're about to get ourselves into Champion Select for Game 3 between Cloud9 Academy and Evil Geniuses Academy, Crumbs, where after a very back-and-forth Game 1, they played the Aurelia, they went for the Elise, and Cloud9 just out-team fought them all game long.
Yeah, so let's bring you up to speed if you haven't caught up with the first two games. Game 1, EG was doing really well, and then they did a Baron throw, and then they lost. Game 2, they bust out their best composition, but Cloud9 had a great answer and just mopped the floor with them. So in the third one, we're feeling, maybe a little bit of tilt from the first game. Now you play the best comp and you lost. What do you do, EG? Backs against the wall. At least you've got counter pick. So that's what they're banking on.
Yep, red side this time around, which means Aurelia is going to get banned by Cloud9, Aphelios and Callista both joining the party. So continuing to be banned throughout this whole series. And I imagine maybe Yuumi gets some attention. Maybe Senna probably doesn't make it through again.
We need to see a set ban. Please, Evil Geniuses. Brandini has only been playing Ornn. Unless you have a different pick for him, set needs to go.
All right, well, there's the Senna ban, there's the Tom Kent ban. So is it going to be the set here? Because as you said, if they don't ban it and they do ban the Rek'Sai, it's going to be set.
Ooh, okay. Well, all hope is not lost because there could be a different answer into the set. However, most teams really just ban set in a lot of situations because of how annoying he can be to the back lane. You know, he's winning these lanes and then he's able to influence deftly later into the match. So at least the matchup has been shifted. We have Aatrox finally.
And there's MF back for Deftly as well. I will kind of say though that I agree with you in the sense that like, it's not even just like, oh, that matchup's not working out well. Like, yes, you have to change something, but I feel like Fudge just feels so comfortable on the champion that like, just make him play something else. Like, make him play Ornn if you want to give that to him, right? Like, make him pick another champion because with how it's been happening, like, even if it's a different matchup, I feel like Fudge is still going to be able to perform similar things unless the game plan is drastically different for how they want to attack this top lane.
We don't know how many games Fudge has played on other picks, right? As far as we know, he's only playing set, but behind the scenes where most of the work is done to win today, he might have been playing 20 games of set and nothing else. So if you don't ban it, you never get to test those other champions and see just how good they are. Is his Ornn as good as his set? Is the Aatrox up to speed? But we won't know unless EG takes us to game 4. So set versus Aatrox is the matchup for today, and at least a more aggro bottom lane than what we had with TK Thresh. We've got a lot of fighting here, and I really like Leona against Nautilus with the Misfortune.
Yep. Yeah, I like the lock-in as well. I mean, Matt could have played something like the Thresh we saw from Diamond. You definitely want something to help kind of poke out the Nautilus because he can be quite an easy target to pick on because he's just quite mobile. But Nautilus taken away here from Matt over to Diamond means that this is also quite a threatening 2v2 as well. I mean, certainly I agree with you in the fact that the aggression is there for EG, but kind of curious to see what Diamond can do with the Nautilus in his hands now, as Zoe is also going to get banned, which shouldn't be too surprising. Olaf also continuing to stay perma-banned throughout this series, but only in this phase. So again, if we do get a fourth game, I wonder if EG will maybe shift their priority on Olaf a little bit more if they feel like they can get an edge in the jungle.
Yeah, I mean, the Olaf ban, you keep seeing all these bruisers or tanky champions from Cloud9, whether it's the set or the tanks and the support. So it's a good way to take Anda off his comfort pick, one that can actually have a very powerful impact in fights, unlike the Jarvan that he was playing earlier, which really is just about engaging and nothing more. Anda, I think, truly shines when he's playing something that has a lot of kill pressure in fights and not just an engaged bot.
Well, there is a Gragas ban. I like, again, also making Cloud9 change at least what jungler Inori has been playing. His Gragas looked particularly good in the last game. Game 1, it was fine. I would say he had some good moments, but wasn't necessarily the star of that one. Lee Sin also going to be taken away. Not a champion we always associate with Anda, but certainly a good aggressive jungler.
Nocturne right here for EG would be fantastic. It's a pick that only Cloud9 main squad has been playing, but you've got a lot of spells to block with your spell shield. It goes very well with your engaged paranoia combos with Misfortune Ultimate well too, but Jarvan is the simple, very straightforward champion that everyone knows how to play around, so it's going to just be back to the basics for EG.
Also, most played champion for Anda and second most played for Inori. So I think trying to pinch Inori here a little bit in the draft and make him play something else by banning the Gragas. He does have the Elise, of course, which is kind of the other pick, but maybe he'll show us something different. As LeBlanc also left open, by the way, because of how the draft happened. Palafox is going to get his most played champion this season.
Wow, LeBlanc Elise, not the traditional pairing with LeBlanc. You usually see her with a melee physical damage jungler. So here, gonna see if these two can actually have a lot of pressure in the mid 2v2, because Giyu can just lock this in and have a really sick matchup against both of them.
Yeah, this is nice. You know, you're not really going to slam the lane as Lissandra, but this kind of pick is very difficult to crack through. Lissandra is very sturdy, very safe against LeBlanc, and then it's just, again, a good roamer with lots of good setup for mid-game especially, which has been a lot of what Giyu has done for this team, is roaming, which we have not seen very much of this game because of how much pressure and attention has been put across the map. So I like it from Cloud9, like very clearly saying like, hey, like, we think we're the better team. We're going to give Palafox the aggressive matchup and just kind of take over the game. But EG saying we have a plan. We believe we can play, a bit more of a controlled style. Play mid to late game a lot cleaner, which I think has been where they've been lacking in their losses, not just in this series, but in general. And I like that Giyu showing us something different, not just going to the Aurelia, willing to play a more defensive counter pick and try and endure the pressure that LeBlanc is going to put out.
And a pick that allows him to be able to engage without no one else needing to be there. So let's see if his agency turns into much more decisive engages from EG, unlike game 2, where the Lantern was seemingly getting everybody out of trouble.
Yeah, definitely cannot let yourself get dictated to. I think EG gave Cloud9 a little too much room to work with in the last game there, Crumbs.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really exciting matchup because we have a really strong way of playing around topside. EG has been doing that all series long, and Lissandra with Jarvan Aatrox can just make Set's life living hell. If they choose to focus Fudge, this could be something that Cloud9 is not expecting, and a good way to get Aatrox in a position where he can just win the side lanes and be very useful in a team fight later. So a lot falling on Giyu and once again this game.
All right, well, as a reminder, we are going to go to a quick commercial break of 5 minutes to build up delay to preserve competitive integrity due to the online nature of the broadcast. So we'll find out, are EG going to give us a series and get one on the scoreboard, or is it a clean sweep for Cloud9 Academy? Find out in just a few moments. Well, welcome back as we kick off game number 3 of the series, Crumbs, with Cloud9 Academy up 2-0. It is looking dire for Evil Geniuses Academy.
It's looking dire, yet knowing that this could be the last game you play for a few months, or for a month actually, just means that you give it your all. So I think that EG, despite being backs against their wall, this might be their best game yet because you've got no choice. Cornered animal is one of the most dangerous things you could have, and that's exactly the position that they are in right now. So I expect at least fireworks in the early game out of them.
Yeah, I think for Cloud9, they're just proving that across the leagues, they are looking absolutely dominant. We do like to joke here in Academy that, sometimes the LCS and Academy do, in fact, mirror each other. Sometimes they don't. FLICKR is probably a good example of that. EG, maybe an example of the former. But one thing has been true this split across both leagues, and that is Cloud9, the organization, is dominating in League of Legends in North America. So we'll see if Cloud9 can complete the sweep and maybe perhaps a prophecy into the future of the upcoming final this Sunday. Ooh. But still a while away from that, Crumbs. You got tomorrow to play the championship qualifier on Saturday, and we still have this series to finish no matter what the result is. And EG are gonna, of course, want to make it the maximum number of games.
Yeah, and it starts with a very engaged composition out of EG. I mean, every champion just wants to go in, and this could be the kind of agency that all their players needed to get these fights. A lot of hesitation ended up happening in both games when it came to finding King or finding Palafox. The cleanse was really tough to deal with, but when you have so much CC, a few defensive summoners don't matter. So EG should actually be just all about the initiative this game, and if they can hold on to that for a series in this position, it really bodes well for where their mental state is at.
Yeah, big fan of this change-up from Matt in particular. He is one of the most experienced members of this team. Been playing with Deathly for a little while, and he is often, kind of called to manage how the game is going, to make plays. Leona is a very aggressive champion, and with the Ignite here, I think Matt can leverage some of that power in the early to mid-game and give EG a bigger boost as they try and take down Cloud9, who have been very consistently strong so far throughout the series, and though did sweep the ward that was placed on his red buff. I like the recon work done for Cloud9, but with that early sweeper clearly knew what was happening. And we have Fudge Brandini again, and even though the matchup is different, Fudge is still looking firmly in control of his 1v1.
The matchup will start to sway over when we see the junglers and mid laners getting involved. And I want to go back to your point about Matt, because I've seen him play LCS in the Academy for so long. The story remains the same for him in that he always looks so much stronger on these engaging supports, and partially due to the teams that he's on are him being the veteran, him being the guy that has to get the team in order, has to get the engages happening. And so when you first pick Tahm Kench for that kind of player, it feels like you're not playing to his own strengths, and now he's finally unlocked. So expecting more out of him than in the Tahm Kench or Nautilus games, actually.
Yep, junglers are towards the top side, but Fudge is already recalling after shoving in that wave, so really nicely managed waves in the early game, as Fudge actually doesn't even complete the recall, just stays. He's up a wave right now of CS, which is quite significant given how early in the game we are. Palafox in a similar situation, but there is this big wave for Giyu to try and collect for himself. Oh, he does miss the cannon though.
Oh, you hate to see it when the materializer gets used on the small one, but not but the cannon goes to waste. But it's fine. You use it on all your creeps to just have better wave control. And I like your point about wave management, because so many times people think that counter picks just tend to be, hey, you just pick this and you win. And sometimes there's some picks that are a little bit like that, but just having superior wave management means that when you were supposed to have a winning matchup, you don't. When you're supposed to have a losing matchup, it loses even worse. So if Fudge can show superior wave control against Brandini, he'll make him look like Ornn like last game.
Yeah, I think if there's one thing that we can, remedy, Crumbs, is maybe mid lane, although that's a solo kill. Without Ignite
not
against
the
an Aftershock Lissandra, Palafox solo kills Giyu. It's even worse, Crumbs, because this is what I was going to say. I was going to say, you know what? Maybe we can remedy the notion of counterpicks, because we'll watch this again and we'll talk about it. But my goodness, Palafox just styling on Giyu here.
So the Aftershock is initially down already. So that's already a big trouble. And Ando was really close. So just a miscalculation in his HP, thinking that Palafox was not going to be that aggressive at that time. But now he's got Sork's first item and just looking for Giyu again because it was so easy the first time.
Yeah, and what I was going to say is that, you know, in solo queue, people see counterpicks as like, well, I pick this champion and I smash my lane. I solo kill them over and over again. Where in competitive, like, counterpick is used for a lot of different reasons, and almost never is the lane so good that you, like, take over 1v1 and start solo killing people, right? Like, Lissandra is supposed to basically neutralize this lane by evening things out, not getting pressured by LeBlanc, and then just roaming. Unfortunately, Palafox completely ruined that because he solo killed to Lissandra.
Oh yeah, it's big.
Without Ignite.
It's huge because Lissandra, you know, her strength against LeBlanc is also that she can just ult LeBlanc when she goes distort in and try to use her combo, but this is now a LeBlanc that is ahead, has Sork, so she's going to be able to out-roam Giyu that had to use that TP, and if she's ahead, Lissandra doesn't have enough damage to actually burst her. She needs, needs help.
The bad thing is, like, the ult's not going to save you the first time because Palafox has cleansed. I mean, it might save Lissandra. She can ult herself as well and get healing, which, of course, with no Ignite, you can't cut through at this stage for Palafox. So, like, with Aftershock up, like, I don't expect Giyu to die again, but I guess we'll see. I feel like I've just cursed him. Top lane, though, Fudge is in trouble. Brandini's already 6. Good flash there from Fudge. Hook lands, though, onto Leona. And Diamond is getting low here. That's going to get him shot down. Matt needs a flashes in, gets the stun, and EG win the 2v2.
This is why I love Leona into Nautilus.
Ooh, King! You spicy lad! Straight onto Matt he goes, and he gets the trade kill.
Whoa, what a nice play there to make up for the support going in. But why I like Leona into Nautilus is because Leona's just much tankier. So when Nautilus goes in, you simply wait out his Aftershock, press your W, and then you turn on him. And you can even catch him out that way. So this pick is, we're already starting to see a little bit of what it can do, but King made sure that the advantages don't go entirely in EG's pocket.
Yep. Also, I believe Nori was up here in the top half of the map. Facebreaker there from Fudge, but he does still get sweet spotted, I think, for taking a little too much damage. Did live, though, had to use his flash, and looks like both of them have TP'd somewhat recently. So gank top lane did not go EG's way, but certainly looking good in the 2v2, although the trade, I suppose, evened things back up, and the gold will say the same story. Cloud9, with the pressure they had in mid in particular, did manage to move their bot lane up into the lane and then over to the Drake, so they do have the first dragon of this game as well. But we are in for another pretty close early game, which I think we should expect in this series, given what we've seen so far. 3v3 in the bot lane, though. Hook there, lands in onto the Leona. That's the target. Here's Ander with the ulti. King, no flash and no hope. And he's dead this time around. Nori going to join the party, but what can he really do? Diamond's going to die as well.
That's a really good counter gank from Ander there, knowing that the bot lane was going to want to fight the second Varus hit 6. They were expecting it, and Elise just had no way to go into that fight. She was so far back, and that kind of lead is what we anticipated from this matchup in the bottom lane, freeing up the possibility to gank this lane. And that is something new, because definitely was never a point of contention in the early game from the first 2 games. And now if he can start being played around early, we might see a completely different game.
So see that mid lane is stabilized somewhat here. Giyu, no teleport up right now, but does have that Kindle gem going for that quick proto belt. And Palafox, despite having a small CS lead, has clearly not been able to find additional kill pressure. Nice electrocute proc though, gets the chain and the auto weaved in to do a little bit of harassment before going back, because he is running low on mana himself. But bot lane attention is here for Nori. He's actually looking for some plates here. It's King and Diamond trying to make sure their lane stays in the direction they like it, which is winning for them. In fact, it's the change up as they've rotated the dual lane top lane for the Rift Herald is the reason for all this aggression. Good hook though after the cocoon. Brandini going to be forced to ult and flash away, but Nori going to follow in. Might have enough here. Going to have to repel. Does get out of there as King finds the snipe.
That's just a mistake out of Brandini there. Look at what Fudge is doing when he gets met with 3 people in his lane. He's just in the jungle. He's chilling. He was looking for something in the mid lane. He knows he can't walk up. And when Brandini walks up, he dies. And it's a tough situation to be in as a top laner because you never want to be without doing anything. But it's another way for you to be a stronger laner here, because now it's just Fudge just gets to catch up his experience, doesn't miss out on a whole lot compared to Brandini, who's now going back to top lane and missing out on the possibility of what would have crashed in bot.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes doing nothing's the right play, Crumbs, and I think Brandini did need to play a bit more defensively there. Fudge also waiting out the Herald, wanting to make sure no one had stuck around for an extended period of time, as EG do Herald up the top tower and take it out, giving all that extra money and those plates to Deftly, and C9 actually did not finish up the tower in bottom lane. So a nice early lead here for EG, taking that first tower, and it is Deftly once again is receiving all of the early advantage.
It was actually just dying there that gives so much of the time to Cloud9 away from taking the turret that now gives them no turrets. So they have to continue to punish the Brandini if they want to make sure that that loss of turret gets salvaged somewhere, but I think they have a good avenue to do so. It's still the Blade build from Fudge, and Inori was in the top side seeing if Brandini would overextend, so they were thinking about it, but with the Dragon coming up and ultimates available from their bottom lane, a fight is a possibility here.
So it's possible Cloud9 can fight for this Drake, although Inori's a little too far away. But Fudge does have CP. It does look like that EG are just going to be able to walk away with this Mountain Drake there. So no contest here for Cloud9. I think maybe realizing a little late that this was the play, or just not able to contest, whatever the reason is, does go over to EG as they even things up. And the Rift will be Elemental this time around, Crumbs, which is always a spicy one for a game as important as this.
Oh, that's a big one. Everybody benefits from this except Leona and Nautilus, so this is going to be a very important dragon, and taking down top turret is really big here. If you can free up the Aatrox or the Set from side lane duties and they can always be at the dragon before looking for the TP, you could have the ability to engage faster on your opponent. And with these kinds of comps that are so much about burst, first engage is just win a lot of the time.
Well, Brandini continuing to be picked on here as you predicted, Crumbs. Here's Fudge ready, gets the flash facebreaker in, showstoppers him over, and there's the cocoon just lands straight in. What a combination by Cloud9!
Yeah, when Brandini showed that he was willing to die bottom and lose on that experience and then lose on top side, the best choice for Cloud9 was to punish this lane, and now it's gonna be relentless. They can continue to do this, and the poor man's gone Cull. I mean, he went Cull in his second item too because he thought this was gonna go late, but that just puts him even more vulnerable to this dive.
Yeah, also on that note, Cloud9, King, and Diamond are going to have to be a bit careful of Ander here. Diamond going to clear out the wave. Here they come, though. TP in as well. King going to get bullet timed out, but what a cleanse there as the dunk will come in for Ander. King will die between the towers, but he makes it close. Ander actually maybe traded over here. Diamond, can he finish it off? Gets the ulti down, but he's 1v4 right now. I think that was something he didn't need to go for. He flash autos and does get the trade, but gives away his life in the process.
Hey, that's not bad. You got a stopwatch, a trade, and they're already getting a tier 1 when it comes to the Cloud9 top side, so it's not a bad trade. EG really needed to commit a lot for that.
Yeah, given that they got the tower in top lane, don't mind this too much. Definitely not will be able to clean up this tower in bottom lane, and tower plates are falling off soon, but the tower EG have in bottom lane is also quite low, so I think ultimately this will be pretty even as far as trades go, assuming Cloud9 can convert for this bottom outer tower.
Exactly. Cloud9 needs to use the advantage that EG has to base right now, so support and AD will be late. They have first dibs on the next play, so this is what I liked about that, right? Obviously not you lost your bot lane, but you traded a kill, and now you have tempo advantage with an open map, so this vision should lead to another pick and a positive fight for Cloud9 if they find the right wards or the right lane assignment.
Now they also have space around the Drake opened up as well, as that tower will finally fall to minions. Brandini this time has learnt his lesson, Crumbs, playing much further back.
Weird though, because you do that when there's one guy, but not when there's three.
Well, you know what? It's a slow process.
Right.
All right. Drake up in a minute 45. The first Infernal of the game is on the table in a moment. And both teams are centering their dual lanes around mid. Good hook there from Diamond onto Matt, but going to be tough to crack through Leona. Good stopwatch bullet time after the solar flare, though. Here comes Palafox locking down Matt, but that's mainly to make sure Diamond doesn't die.
Okay. Got the stopwatch use, so that could be pretty useful for EG for this next fight. So there's still a minute for the Dragon, so it's not like those ultimates were a very valuable before this next fight. So looks like just some parting shots before the next setup.
Yeah, right now Cloud9 actually on the left side of the map, but do have time to rotate back down. Still a minute till that objective is up. Do have the Blade of the Ruin King finish for King, and Essence Weaver already done for Deathly. In fact, pretty much everyone has their first completed item, with the exception being a Diamond on Cloud9's side, and Brandini actually on EG's side.
Yeah, poor Aatrox here. He really does not contribute much to a fight at this stage. Doesn't even have the added cooldown from the Warhammer, so it's tough for EG to get something here. If anything, they have Matt with a stone plate, so that's a really valuable tool to be able to get into the mix and protect these squishier members that just aren't able to last as long in the face of the Varus Elise.
Also looks like EG might be trading the Drake for this Rift Herald here. Palafox is up towards the top side. He's actually got blue buff and is starting to pressure the side lane. Fudge was also down towards the bottom half, so that's going to force Brandini to catch a wave, but that opens up a lot of space for them to take the Drake, and as a result of all the side lane pressure, EG actually don't even start the Rift Herald. So they're going to get this Drake and get out unless EG can find a fight off this.
Oh, they're moving down to almost look for a fight, but it's already so late. They had no wards for anybody to TP in on that, and now they're moving towards the Rift Herald for Anda to go for it, so they will be late on that as well.
I mean, even if they go for this, they now have to force another trade, because if they want to push, Cloud9 can take the mid outer, or they can try and take the fight if they think the Herald is worth playing for here. But EG, I think, feeling a little bit too much pressure from this LeBlanc and this set. This is something we haven't seen from Cloud9 yet this series. Like, we've seen Fudge dominate side lanes on the set so far, but we haven't seen Palafox on something like this LeBlanc that can play fairly far up in the side lane and just force you to come to her and force minions into your towers.
I think the other element of the LeBlanc that gets really tricky to play against is when she's running the cleanse, because you don't have really good ways of locking her down. And so when Giyu and Anda don't actually have good lockdown against her, and then you have a jungler that's all about tankiness, you just don't have enough damage to kill the LeBlanc right now. So she feels so confident, and even in the bot lane, the Aatrox versus Jarvan, there's a good chance that Set just turns and bobs one of them down too. So they just don't have a way to 2-on-1 these side laners, and because they need more members, they're feeling way too much pressure to make anything happen, because they're like, we don't actually have the tools to dispatch with these members. What can we do?
Yeah, and look, it might be different. Brandini's teleport is almost back off cooldown. That is one of the advantages they do have. But again, LeBlanc isn't looking to like perma-split push a lane and then TP into a fight. She just wants to catch waves and force you back. And EG, like, I mean, we're even on towers right now, including both mid lane outer turrets still up. And look how different the map looks for Cloud9 as Palafox is in onto Giyu, gets the electrocute procced, and actually does a decent chunk of damage there.
Yeah, and so I also want to set myself up to answer that question. If I'm EG, like, what can I do? You can have Giyu gank the set. Right, so you have Lissandra, she does have damage. There's no MR on this set, so you can 3-man him, and a good way to do so, if you know where he's going, you have Brandini push out. He drops a ward in the lane, anticipating Set to push behind it. Then you TP the Lissandra, you can get a kill there, use Deathly's ultimate to wave clear in the mid lane. So there's a lot of tools that they have at their disposal. I think they're just looking at it as a one-way option versus, hey, how can we use what we have in a more creative way for what Cloud9 is doing?
I also just noticed, and I don't know if every player has chosen to do this. In fact, we'll hold that thought. King going to get stunned up. Really good follow-up there from Matt. And that's a well-deserved kill for the Leona.
Great roam timing there. Stealing a red buff too. So I'm surprised that Cloud9 just had no eyes on that. They're all about the top lane and even...
Oh, goodness.
Okay.
Palafox was going for something alongside his jungler, but...
They tried to dive.
Did not work out. They did. It didn't work. He got 1 kill, almost 2. Perhaps we'll revisit that in the future. But Lissandra showing that she's no joke under a tower. Can be a very tough champion to pick off. And all of a sudden, all our praise for Cloud9 kind of falling short. EG actually up 3,000 gold. Completely flipped the script on the side lane pressure. And got 2 picks.
Yeah.
With kind of just out of nowhere.
That was huge. So, I mean, we'll obviously have to speculate of what happened top, but I think it's pretty straightforward that they tried to dive and Lissandra just outplayed it. So
yep.
A mixture of Aftershock and her own ultimate and lack of Ignite, right? You can't stop that healing. You lived with just a sliver of health, so made a big difference. And then it was just King getting caught out. So let's see how this dive fared off, because Elise is not here just yet. They get the E right away. And a nice ultimate under the turret, but it's here where... What does Elise do?
Oh no.
Oh.
Oh no.
Oh. No. Okay.
That was not how I thought that happened.
No, not at all. I mean, you had a lot of ways to just stop that. Once Cloud9 got so much chunk out of that, could have popped the Herald, could have just done so much more than give those kills away. They lose the possibility of the turret, but now they have the confidence that they can still fight these games, that the pressure on the side lanes does not translate directly to what the gold is.
Alright, well, Brandini's even getting the push happening in bot lane too against Fudge, so we're going to have to reset ourselves a little here in this mid game, because EGA is showing that there's still plenty left in this game, and after breaking open the mid tower, actually up a very significant amount of gold. There is another Drake though to fight for. It looks like it will be EG's this time around though. Very tough to contest when you don't have your mid outer tower up, and the enemy does, so Cloud9 going to move in straight away to try and trade here. In fact, might have to back off because EG thinking they can cut them off, as they've already taken the Drake very quickly.
With 5 members, EG does have the stronger team fight.
Oh, Palafox, I love
cheeky. It. Nice.
That's nice. I like that a lot.
Yeah, so EG just has a stronger team fight now. The coal has been cashed in from Brandini, so they've got just so much CC and tanky front lines. There's no healing reduction really being built just yet out of Cloud9, so champions like Aatrox can still have a field day despite the death stance not being completed.
Nope, chasing the bottom lane though. Brandini going to pop the ulti for the move speed and does get away. For how good Fudge has had been this series though, and this game is certainly pretty good from him as well. I think attention does have to fall to Palafox in this particular game. He's also had a very good series, but you know, has that kill that he got. The only one he has actually is a solo kill from pre-level 6 in his lane. But with the Sork Shoes and now the Death Cap finished alongside that Ludens, we've seen that he's been a very big threat in the side lanes, but just in general. So I think the key to this mid game for Cloud9 is going to be this LeBlanc and how Palafox navigates through the next 10 minutes.
He does have a really tricky LeBlanc game to pull off here because of the tankiness and itemization that is already out of EG. I mean, definitely with the cleanse, with the Hex Drinker already, you've got Merc Tread's Aftershock on the mid lane there, so the 2 squishiest members are suddenly non-one-shottable. And so Palafox is probably resorting to just poking away and being more of a nuisance in the side while Fudge and Diamond just wreak havoc. So he's got a tough game, but the mechanics have been there.
And as you mentioned, EG's team fight quite strong in this particular moment. So Cloud9 are committing pretty heavily to playing this 1-3-1, trying to split up all 5 of EG, but as you said, you have to play very carefully when you're going to play this style, because the roaming death ball of EG can maybe collapse, although now it's a 5v4 in Cloud9's favor, as Diamond's going to look for the ult. He finds Matt with the hook. Palafox is diving in, pokes down Giyu, but nobody wants to commit their cooldown, so Cloud9 cannot find a pick.
Ooh, I'm surprised that that Cloud9 didn't actually want to commit further on that, and the cue that tells me that they should have committed more was when Giyu chucked out that E. It's in one direction. You know he's not engaging on Palafox because he has that cleanse, and Aatrox was not there. So they at least got the Leona's stone plate, but you know, that's really not a lot because there's not going to be another fight for a while. But those are the kinds of opportunities that give you maybe 5 seconds to take a fight before the enemy gets in there. And that ability to time how much time you need to win a fight before somebody else gets there is just seconds, milliseconds sometimes. And if you get those calculations right, you can come up with fights that no other team even thought about.
For now, Cloud9 just gonna kind of play to this next Drake fight. Is a very important one. It'll be the first team to grab this Drake will be, of course, the first team at the shot at the Infernal Soul.
And you've got the Death Dance completed from Brandini now, so that's a huge item for Aatrox, who we might actually get to see what Brandini can do. He's been on Orin duty all playoffs, pretty much, at least in the second round in here. So if he's been very good at the Aatrox, these team fights could just be so different than what we saw in the first two games, where it was all about just how can you stop the Ornn from engaging, whether it's with a Gragas Flask or pulling him out of his knockback. So I think a lot of eyes should fall on Brandini because of what we haven't seen him do yet.
Certainly, I think he's been kind of bullied around by Fudge on this set all series long, and now it's an opportunity to perhaps do that for himself. As once again, Cloud9 just keeping these lanes long, keeping EG kind of running after them across this rift. But it's kind of what they do for the big objectives that's going to be the difference maker. Fudge has roamed up here, but no vision for Cloud9. 3 members lie awake.
TP
in from Brandini. There's the dunk. King flashes out. Diamond on the front side. They're going to go after definitely Fudge. Once he gets the face breaker on, the Haymaker's out, but 2v4. Don't know if they can do it. Here comes Palafox, so is set. Does get the shutdown, and they get the Brandini, who dove into the back line. Cloud9, another good face breaker. Fudge finds a double. Matt going to be the 4th kill, perhaps to go down, as Andalo as well is going to get chained up by LeBlanc. That will be the ace out of Cloud9 Academy.
They can win. This game should be over. You have TP on Fudge. They have a minion in here. They could just tank this and EG split right here, right now.
Cloud9 Academy, they are going to go for it, Crumbs. They're going to bust through the mid lane here. Death timers are not that long. This is 27 minutes still in this game. 0 Barons taken, no soul available. Cloud9, they're going to go for a speed run here, Crumbs.
They're going to do it 3 seconds on Deathly. He has ult, but it's not enough.
Oh my goodness. Cloud9, so decisive, so powerful, and they will sweep the Academy Finals, your spring champions once again.
Wow, big congratulations to Cloud9. Just the organization. 1 remaining member from last split, only Diamond. New roster, still the same results. So just a great, great split from them.
Yeah, just a dominating season from both the LCS and the Academy teams. We'll, of course, see the LCS team in action on Sunday, but the Academy team starting things off right for the org. This could be an entire weekend, Crumbs, of Cloud9 just winning League of Legends.
I mean, they play really well, so I'm definitely not going to be bummed out about that one. That last fight was just so expertly done. You had the flank from the Aatrox, but instantly at least peels for the Varus, and then you know what Fudge is going to do when he's in the middle of a fight. He did it all series long, and the last game, it was no different.
Certainly not, as Cloud9 absolutely stomps this final series to be our Academy champion. Stick around, though, because the State Farm ANALYST will break down the game and the series after the break.
Hercules, I have been expecting you.
Aha! And I brought you a gift, so you can fight properly. Red Bull.
Oh!
How nice.
Of you.
But also
Rather.
stupid.
Mine.
Mine.
No, mine.
No, mine.
Mine.
Mine. Red Bull gives you wings.
Welcome back to the 2020 Spring Finals, where we are ready to crown our kings of Cloud9. A convincing victory from them across those 3 games. So first of all, we want to take a look at how they got here, because as we touched at the top of show, it was not a easy journey from start to finish. Isn't that right, Raz?
Yeah, because the beginning for Cloud9 was a little rough. But then they went on a huge win streak, 12 games in a row in the regular season. And then, of course, they dropped that one game to TSM in the series, but like it was just Cloud9 just taking over. So really well done from Cloud9 to have such a commanding end of split.
Yeah, it's super impressive to be able to turn it around that significantly of a season. And, you know, it's not the first time that Cloud9 as an organization has done this. They did it, you know, in the regular season last 2 years ago, I believe it was. So they are super good about getting all the players on the same page. And I think they're always in contention for the best in Academy. It's nice that they took it home this time after coming up just a little short last time, and kind of like what you heard Crumbs talking about, with a pretty new roster, all things considered, only Diamond returning.
Yeah, Diamond being the only crossover, but they clearly got things together as a unit over time. So even if we're looking at the last game in particular, what did they do in the early game to where it was able to end so quickly and they didn't have to worry so much about the team fight potential that EG had?
Yeah, for me, it kind of just started from individual players, because whenever it comes to just having this strong individual like talent, so we always talk about Palafox, Fudge, King, and Ori, like how well they work like on their own. But then the story, as we already talked about prior, were just how well they worked as a team, how they grinded it out. And in this game, I mean, Palafox just killed Q and Lane solo, and it wasn't even like a mechanical like blunder. It was him just basing after he like used E to clear the wave, thinking, LeBlanc went back to lane base. I'm just gonna, she's still here and I died. He just made the incorrect decision on his own, right? And that has happened throughout the series with Fudge. That happened in this game with Palafox. They were able to dominate. And I mean, what do you do if you're just kind of outmatched individually?
Yeah, I mean, they tried to take red side again and get favorable matchups, was EG's solution to that question. It worked a little bit in laning phase, the Leona counter pick on the bot side, the Lissandra mid, but like you said, eventually a little bit of individual skill the individual skill showed out for Palafox, able to get that solo kill like you're talking about, and then the team play started coming in, and they were able to dominate that team fight in the mid lane to close out the game.
If you're looking at the goal differential in certain aspects, EG were keeping it fairly tight, but if you looked at the decision making in moments, they didn't always seem like a cohesive unit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because for me, this series, I mean, I looked at this game and said that EG had the better composition, right? Easier, more direct, a much more like basically a better team fight comp to run with. But C9 just showcased that they were just by far the better unit in team fights, like had always set up fights properly, understood their roles consistently. Diamond, I think there's a good reason why he's remained with this team for so long, is just because like in team fights, it's very clear for the rest of the team how they should follow up on his plays.
Yeah, I think there was a great example at around 16-ish minutes, if I remember correctly, where Dragon was spawning, Herald was up, and you saw EG not doing anything with that window. You have this team fight comp like Rad's talking about. Maybe you want to fight them at the Drake, or if you don't feel confident and the other team got their setup first, at least trade out the objectives. And this was an area where if you flip the teams and C9 was in their shoes, they absolutely would have been prepared for the Drake or trading out that objective. And those are the moments where you really see how much better they were working as a unit.
Yes, actually, even to that point, Cloud9 in the last series when they went up against TSM, they fell monstrously behind and then clawed back in because they made decisions as a team, snapped judgments. They were always on the same page. And it showed that Cloud9 Academy can play in a lead and in a deficit, and you still have to fully respect them. EG here second-guessed themselves way too much. When they had a slight lead, they still second-guessed themselves because it felt like they were always unsure of themselves when they were 0-2 in the series. So that's always a tough thing to look back on.
You mentioned Cloud9's ability to work as a team, and we saw a lot of that team effort being put in the top lane around who is your player of the series, which is going to be Fudge. Because Fudge on that set was looking phenomenal from game 1 to game 3.
I mean, especially game 2, 21 KDA, huge kill participation, 80%, which can be a little hard to get for a top laner. A lot of damage as well. He got the set all 3 games. They never had an answer for him, couldn't hold him down. The best that they could do was kind of target him in lane and throw some ganks his way, but that never knocked him out of the game, and he always bounced back.
Yeah, honestly, going back to the point that I made about when they fell in a deficit, they always had the mental fortitude and creativity come back in. Game 2, when they were behind, the teleport behind the team, finding ways into the fight. I mean, at the end of the day, there is a little bit of like strategic and draft difference where I feel like they have so much confidence in Fudge, so they will play through him. Where that's not necessarily the case with how EG have been playing towards. They haven't even been playing towards top side, just kind of giving it away. But also Fudge, I think, can always make plays happen. So I love the fact that he's able to do that for his team.
That's such a boon too when you have a guy who can just make a play happen. Sometimes it doesn't work, but it's the kind of thing that you love to have on your team when there's someone who will find the opportunity to say, hey, get on with me with this play, and I have a way for us back into the game. Won't work every single time, but you're never out for that reason.
And the fact that he was... Go ahead.
Okay, small thing too. It's kind of tragic for Mr. Palafox because he's competing against someone else who's like, even throughout the series, we were talking about who we would rather have in play the series, and it's like we just need to see because it's them both competing against each other. In this case, I thought Fudge was just more consistent in what he was doing.
A lot of consistency in many moments, whether it was through the laning phase or being there. Raz, you mentioned the fact that they worked so well as a unit in the rotation, not just being on the same page as far as play. So how did that enhance Fudge's ability to not just create those initiations, but even in game 2 when an invade was happening, making sure that they can be in that position to react effectively?
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of faith in each individual player is what I've noticed. So like, they play towards top lane dive because, I mean, Brandini is going to, like, they're picking Ornn for Brandini most of these games. And so when you have a team that can just on a dime play towards top side, which is their strategy, of course, or in times they can play towards bot side to King and Diamond, then really anything's on the table. And that's really tough to play against because EG, a lot of the times, they set themselves up as a bot side focused team. So a lot of the times, they do rev that engine and say like,
that's so smooth, dude. Oh my god.
Anyways, like they just basically they can understand their opponent and play towards top side even at a faster pace. So I feel bad for Brandini because like they kind of, especially after game 2, they just knew it was going to happen and they weren't willing to adapt.
I think the point overall about where the adaptations were happening, where you want to target, draft is in a sense this like limited resource, and it felt like there was more effort potentially on you getting the champions that he might have to control Palafox, and Brandini was put a little bit on, like you said, Ornn duty, tank. You're just going to be first picking your matchup, and we don't have the bans to spend on set because I think everyone watching, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Reddit thread is full of people saying give Fudge set 3 games in a row, but whenever you want to get rid of that, you have to give something else up, and they put Brandini in a tough spot, and Fudge punished them all series long.
Speaking of that, Mark, what do you make of the fact that, yes, Set was left up, he got locked in the 3rd time, but we expected the Ornn to come out again for Brandini, making that last-minute switch to decide to go and first pick the Aatrox. What was EG's hope there?
I think the idea was to have a little bit more pressure in the lane, to actually try and hold him down, because the Ornn, even when they got the set behind through a gank or two, didn't translate to side lane controls. That was always pushing turrets, and so I think they were hoping for a little bit, especially that last game, just stronger lane matchups in general. You saw that with Lissandra and the Leona as well, but why give up set then? Was kind of Raz and I's thinking, like, if you're trying to limit this guy in lane, maybe try and get rid of some of the stuff that's been working so well for him.
Yeah, I would say that if your intent was always to go away from the Ornn, then you can just go Aatrox into Ornn, right? They'll just first pick the Ornn, and then you'll go Aatrox into it. And maybe some teams actually don't even go towards Ornn. They just shirk it immediately just because they would rather pick something that's more impactful in lane. But yeah, this game wasn't really decided in draft because as I said, I think the game 5, the last game, game 3, was the best draft, and I liked the draft from EG. It was just better team fighting, understanding their roles. Like C9 was just the better team, and it's nice to see that. Just pure dominance from the team.
The team fighting potential was not enough for Evil Geniuses to clinch the victory there, but Fudge was enough with his impact in the top lane. Lucky for us, Avali is standing on by with your player of the series.
Thank you very much, LaTigress. I am here with Cloud9's Fudge after their victory. Guys, congratulations. Now, you have to tell us, because we can't see you, what was the team's reaction like after the win?
Everyone, well, basically after the team fight, we were just like, can we end? And then Palafox, he said, yeah, we can end. And then after we got to the Nexus Towers, everyone was like saying, let's kill them. And I was just like screaming at them, please end the game. Like, it was a very intense moment, but it was good. It was fun playing set.
Yeah, I mean, that moment aside, you are also the player of the series with your amazing set, especially in the last 2 games. Why didn't Evil Genius Academy just freaking ban it at this point?
Yeah, we were all, after the first game, we were like, okay, like I died a couple times early game. We were like, maybe they don't think it's that good. So we weren't that surprised that they didn't, they gave us set. But then on the 3rd game, we were like, there's no way these guys are not going to ban set. And then they ended up giving it again. So we're just like, okay, free win. We just said free win, and then we just won the game. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah. And it was a pretty dominating series for you. And I mean, for the last few weeks, you guys were on a 12-game win streak kind of leading into playoffs. But I want to back up just a little bit to before then, because at the beginning of the split, you guys were having a little bit of difficulty finding your footing. So what eventually made the switch that allowed you guys to become the strong academy team that we saw today?
I think after the first couple of weeks, once we were like 2-4, I think it was, we were 2-4, and then we sort of just realized that we can't keep just like being bad, basically, and we just decided that we need to really improve. We just need to really improve, and then when you want something enough, it sort of just happens. So that's what happened. We just improved a lot, and we all just like got really good individually, and I think that's like what pulled us through.
What was that realization like within the team? Because I know you have King with you, who you've played with before and were on teams with. So what was that like for you two and everyone as a whole?
The realization, I guess, was pretty like intense. Like everyone was like pretty, not mental boom, but they were very serious about it. And I mean, Calvin's also, he tends to get a bit tilted sometimes. So, I mean, we were all like, just needed to make sure that we improved a lot, and we did that, so it's really good.
Yeah, improved you did. Here you are sitting as the winner for the Academy Spring Split Finals. Now, for you, you've already dominated the OPL, and now you've come in and you've swept NA Academy. So what is next for you, Fudge?
Obviously LCS, no? I think Licorice is obviously really good, so I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they're just going to smash EG in finals, or Fly even, maybe. I don't know who is it going to be. I assume EG, but I'm assuming they're going to 3-0 them in finals, and then they're just going to smash the Summer Split as well.
We're going to have to see if your Academy performance today will play out the same way later this weekend. But Fudge, before I let you go, is there anything that you'd like to say out loud to your teammates, to the org, or to any fans who you may have gathered just from this series?
So thank you to all the fans and the sponsors of C9, and also thank you to like all my Australian friends back at home. It's like really late at night for them, but they were still like watching and like messaging, so I was pretty happy about that. Thank you very much.
That's true. That's true friendship right there. Fudge, thank you so much. And again, congratulations to you and the rest of C9 Academy. That's it for us here. Back to the Tigress.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much, Avali.
Bye, Fudge.
Bye, Fudge. Some nice words from Fudge on his teammates after that victory.
Hell yeah. Like, I really enjoyed the interview because one big takeaway that I got from that, hard work pays off. Like, a true storied ending, right? Because at the beginning of the split, they looked bad. They were losing a lot of games, and it happened. Not a lot of teams actually like thought of them as a threat, and they recognized that, put in a ton of work individually, and they were the team that was always grabbing for practice. Like, warm-ups before games, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I think they probably put in the most amount of practice games than any team. I think it's safe to say. And it really panned out for them. They should feel incredibly happy about the fact that that effort and self-reflection gave them that dominant 12-win streak in regular season and a ridiculous playoff performance.
Yeah, hard work beats talent. When talent doesn't work hard, people always say. And then when you have a talented roster like C9 does, and they're actually all putting in the extra hours to improve and get better, like, it's just so cool to see and hear about, stories like what you're talking about, Raz, where they themselves said, we want to put in the extra step. We're going to go the extra mile over these other teams. And then that ends up paying off. And probably the main reason, the fact that they worked harder than everyone else, that they are able to win today.
Practice pays off, and because of that, Cloud9 Academy are your Academy champions for spring. But guess what? That's not the only League of Legends we got going on this weekend, because we crowned one champion, we got to crown another on Sunday. So taking a look at the schedule ahead for the LCS, we will have our match tomorrow ongoing between Evil Geniuses and FlyQuest to determine who will be joining Cloud9 in that grand final on Sunday. Mark, you've been on the desk throughout the entirety of this playoff bracket. What are your thoughts on the matches to come?
That's exactly what I was going to say. I've been here all the time. I want to hear Raz before I go. Everyone's heard my thoughts. Raz is the one with the unique and novel perspective here.
I mean, there's nothing unique about saying that, Cloud9 is going to rerun this. You know what I mean? Like, looking at the...
Yeah. Let's go.
But like,
no, talk about EG FlyQuest. Yeah.
Okay. I think another point about grinding and hard work pays off has been EG. Like, they looked so bad at the beginning. And the fact that they were able to play as a unit around Jizuke, Sven, and now Bang is kind of set up to succeed in team fights because they're not making random decisions. Like, I really enjoy how EG's been playing, and I think they take that series.
And for me, the thing that just my mind instantly jumps to is you're talking about all the improvements EG did. I'm looking at FlyQuest for a similar reason. Finally, it feels like they've landed on solo, and I want to see what their series looks like now that he's going to be in there for all 5 games, because the first time they played, FlyQuest lost a close game at Baron. They swapped, solo in after already being down 0-2. There was a lot of pauses. So I'm excited to see what this series looks like on the run back.
It's going to be so good. Both of those teams are hungry to get themselves in the finals, but you'll all have to tune in tomorrow to find out who will be joining them at the end of the bracket. As far as what we've got going down today, that does it for our Academy Finals. On behalf of myself, the analysts, and the entire remote broadcast crew, thank you so much for tuning in. Now, if you haven't had your fill of League of Legends, stay tuned after this broadcast for an episode of The Dive. But until next time, good morning, afternoon, evening, and good night.
If you're searching for glory, this isn't it. Searching for something good within.
LCS champion. That's what this weekend is about. For some, it's about proving that they can do it for the very first time.
The base will fall. Back-to-back sweeps. TL's the best team in North America.
It's the org that is expected to win with the players who haven't.
Nisky is gone. Hazel is gone. Cloud9 is gone.
For some, it's about redemption, about doing what they've come so close to in the past.
No quick silver sash. He is down. He is shut down.
What is he doing? And for others, it's about doing it again. It's about recapturing former glory.
Wow, Turtle! Turtle on the triple, Turtle on the quadra. A second quadra in the playoffs for Turtle. Flushed out of the way, Contact is going to move in, Smith's going to try a second down, Smith's scared. Looking for the big play.
Big wave, Cloud9 still a little bit dangerous. High, whoa, all the way back to high. And they will do it once again. The consecutive wins for Team Solomon.
And for Cloud9, it's about calling themselves champions once again.
Cloud9 does not drop a single game in the playoffs. That is the best team in North America.
This finals will look different. We won't be in an arena. There won't be tens of thousands of fans. But at the end of the day, these players are competing for an LCS title. The mark of a champion is someone who can perform under the given circumstances.
If you're searching for